Hey BookTube, it's Peg. Welcome back to the History Shelf. Today I am showing you some books that I have purchased probably over the last month or two. These are all on my own shopping whimsy that I picked up along the way because I couldn't resist, and that's just what bookaholics do, right? We kind of pick up books along the way. Some are new, some are used. I've ordered used through thrift books or elsewhere. But I'm also trying out, let me know how the sound is. I realized I might have been using this microphone wrong. Should be talking in it lengthwise like this, like a podcast, so boo. It's really deep when you get really close to it, but it's hard to be close to the microphone when you're trying to pick up books and show things, but I'll do my best. All right, well, let's start. Let's just dive right into it. I've got a stack right here. I've got a few more on the floor. Oh, hopefully you can't hear that. Okay, well, that's the washing machine. All right. You got to multitask in today's world. All right, so first up, I have been wanting a really good biography on Catherine of Siena. And I have a book, a fiction book by this author, this, I believe, Norwegian author. But this is, so I decided I want to read her version of it. And this is a biography, sorry for the glare. We got Catherine of Siena by Sigrid Undset. It's put out by Ignatius Press. I just bought this off Amazon. And Sigrid Undset she wrote the very large, and I have it over here in a Penguin Classic, Kristen Lavrensatter. Lavrendatter. Lavransdatter. I'll get it right. But it says here, Sigrid Undset's Catherine of Siena is critically acclaimed as one of the best biographies of this well-known and amazing 14th century saint. Known for her historical fiction, which won her the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1928, Undset based this factual work on primary sources, her own experiences living in Italy, and her profound understanding of the human heart. One of the great novelists of the 20th century, Undset was no stranger to hagiography. Her meticulous research of medieval times, which bore such fruit in her multi-volume masterpieces Kristen Lavrensatter and The Master of Hestviken, acquainted her with some of the holy men and women produced by the Age of Faith. Their exemplary lives left a deep impression upon the author, an impression Undset credited as one of her reasons for entering the church in 1924. Catherine of Siena was a particular favorite of Undset, who also was a third-order Dominican. I did not know that. An extraordinarily active, intelligent, and courageous woman, Catherine at an early age devoted herself to the love of God. The intensity of her prayer, sacrifice, and service to the poor won her a reputation for holiness and wisdom, and she was called upon to make peace between warring nobles. Believing that peace in Italy could be achieved only if the Pope, then living in France, returned to Rome, Catherine boldly traveled to Avignon to meet with Pope Gregory XI. With sensitivity to the zealous love of God and man that permeated the life of St. Catherine, Undset presents a most moving and memorable portrait of one of the greatest women of all time. So reading the description of that, sorry for the glare, I knew I had to read this biography. So again, put out by Ignatius Press. I think I have several of Ignatius Press's. They have the same type of spine where the author's name is in like a little, same color background, and then the name of the author. I believe I have some Chesterton editions that are from Ignatius that look exactly like that. Okay, moving on, trying to stay in front of this microphone. Okay, so I bought this a while ago. I think I got this used. All right, or is it new? No, it's used. It's got a little remainder mark here. This was to help me. No, it wasn't. I know what it was. I saw Una at Codex Cantina was reading this. Saw he had a post on Instagram, and I was like, I need to get this. Now, I had this book already, but it was the older edition. So I kind of wanted to check out the new edition, so I picked it up, used. And this is Timothy Ware's The Orthodox Church, An Introduction to Eastern Christianity. Again, a new edition, as you can see. And I think I picked it up shortly before we started the Brothers Karamazov read along. And I still need to tap into this, but this definitely will be a book to help me understand religion, Christianity, and the Eastern Orthodox tradition, because I don't really understand Orthodoxy. I know that they have a thing with icons, but I kind of want to understand more about the different doctrines and how they differentiate from, like, say, Lutheranism, which is, I guess I'm in the Lutheran tradition. But it says here, since its first publication 50 years ago, Timothy Ware's book has become established throughout the English-speaking world as the standard introduction to Eastern Christianity. In this fully revised and updated third edition, he explains the Orthodox views on such widely ranging matters as free will, purgatory, the papacy, and the relation between the different churches, making this the definitive guide for both Orthodox and non-Orthodox alike. So, got some new edition here, third edition. Very happy about that. Okay, and so I also picked up this book. Again, the run-up to the reading of the Brothers Karamazov and then just getting into Russian religion, I found this book. It's got that wonderfully old paper smell. I found this book used, but I paid probably about $18 for it because it's very hard to find. This is The Russian Religious Mind by G.P. Fedotov. It's called Kievan Christianity, the 10th to the 13th centuries. And this is a very older edition. As you can see, like, look at the Harper imprint down there. It's old. It is old. And, they don't make covers like this anymore. Isn't it beautiful, though? I love it. And the pages are nice and yellowed. I wish you could just smell these pages from where you are. Smell. Yeah. It's got that old yellowed paperback smell. I would have paid $18 for just for this smell alone. Too bad you can't bottle these smells, God, it's just wonderful. Anyway, I know I'm a weirdo. Let's see. So I bought this around the same time as I got The Orthodox Church by Timothy Ware. Oh, I didn't even notice this. It did belong to somebody. 1961. Check that out. Oh, isn't that nice? Lynn Harris Wyken. God bless you. Okay, so anyway, so there's mostly like blurbs on the back, but it says here, someone blurbed, this is the best and in fact the only existing survey of the early Russian culture and its spiritual and human content. Fedotov's analysis is always sharp and pointed, but he abstains from hasty generalizations. Rather, he equips the reader with the evidence which speaks for itself and enables the reader to make up his own mind. Another blurb says, Kievan Russia was probably the period of greatest freedom in Russian history. Like the golden days of childhood, it is never dimmed in the memory of the Russian nation. Mr. Fedotov believes that it has the same value for the Russian religious mind as Pushkin for the Russian artistic sense, that of a standard and a golden measure. No reader interested in Russian culture will miss this book. So, I picked this up. I was really happy to find and it's in really great condition. So, I paid a higher price used, but it's worth it for my Russian collection, my Russian history and religion collection. Let's see. Okay, now we're making quite a jump here. Okay, we'll save that for later. This doesn't make any sense. All right, we're going to jump into history. I bought this new, and I bought this from, I think, Blackwell's, is an yes. You guys, I didn't realize like how, if you're looking for UK editions that they're not available in America yet, or if they, or may never be, check out Blackwell's online. And they gave me this nifty bookmark. But, Blackwell UK. Blackwell's. I was going to do a buddy read with a gal on Instagram on this book. I think she might have already started reading it, though. But it's a beautiful Europa edition, and it's kind of, I guess, kind of along the lines of maybe like a Ken Follett's Pillar of the Earth, but this is Ben Hopkins's Cathedral. Brand new book. Starred review from Kirkus. But look at this edition. So I got this for, it's about as cheap as you could get it, being a brand new book, and the shipping was free from overseas. Isn't that crazy? So I got it for like $17. It says here, a thoroughly immersive read and a remarkable feat of imagination, Cathedral tells a sweeping story about obsession, mysticism, art, and earthly desire. It deftly combines historical fiction with a tale of adventure and intrigue. At the center of the story is the cathedral, obviously. Its construction in the 12th and 13th centuries in the town of Hagenberg unites a vast array of unforgettable characters whose fortunes are inseparable from the shifting political factions and economic interests that are vying for supremacy. Around this narrative center, Ben Hopkins has constructed his own monumental edifice, a novel that is rich with the vicissitudes of mercantilism, politics, religion, and human enterprise. All right, so it kind of doesn't tell you too much, but that's okay. Sometimes I just like going into a book not knowing very much, not knowing who the main characters are or anything. So I did pick up this. I will hopefully get to it, hopefully this summer. Okay, we'll stick with some fiction for right now. I picked this up on the hopes that someone in the BookTube community might want to do a read-along of that. Everyone's been reading her stuff and reading her short stories or doing videos on a certain short story or whatever. But I decided I should give this wonderful woman a try. This is Clarice Lispector, right? We've all been hearing about Lispector. And this is her complete stories. This is put out by New Directions, paperback. I just bought this off Amazon. It's just a collection of her short stories, or the complete short stories. And I know that, I think Noah, at Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse, told me I should check out one in particular and read it first, and to tell him what I thought about it, and if it was something that I liked, that maybe, then you definitely want to continue on. Here it is, Report on the Thing. That is the one, page 475. So I might just start with that one, and then I'll kind of feel around and see if anyone out there in the BookTube community is thinking or would like to do a read-along of Clarice Lispector. And if anyone is out there watching this video and is interested, comment below. I'd love to know. So yeah, pick that up. Oh, and I picked this up a while ago from Princeton. I think I bought it used, like new. No, I think they were having a sale, and I just picked up this one book. This goes back to my Civil War history, obsession. I love Civil War history. And I've been meaning to get this for a while. I've seen this cover out there forever. But boy, is this in-depth. This is A Savage War, A Military History of the Civil War by Williamson Murray and Wayne Wei-Xiang Shi. Again, by Princeton. It's pretty hefty. The print is, it's pretty decent. But it gets into stuff. It gets into big-time military history stuff, which I love. All right. The Civil War represented a momentous change in the character of war. It combined the projection of military might across a continent on a scale never before seen with an unprecedented mass mobilization of peoples. Yet despite the revolutionizing aspects of the Civil War, its leaders faced the same uncertainties and vagaries of chance that have vexed combatants since the days of Thucydides and the Peloponnesian War. A Savage War sheds critical new light on this defining chapter in military history. In a masterful narrative that propels readers from the first shots fired at Fort Sumter to the surrender of Robert E. Lee's army at Appomattox, Williamson Murray and Wayne Wei-Xiang Shi bring every aspect of the battlefield vividly to life. They show how this new way of waging war was made possible by the powerful historical forces unleashed by the Industrial Revolution and the French Revolution. Yet how the war was far from being simply a story of the triumph of superior machines. Despite the Union's material superiority, a Union victory remained in doubt for most of the war, which is true, until they had one man who knew how to fight. Okay, don't get me started on my Grant kick. Murray and Shea paint indelible portraits of Lincoln, Grant, Sherman, and other major figures whose leadership, judgment, and personal character played such decisive roles in the fate of a nation. They also examine how the Army of the Potomac, the Army of Northern Virginia, and the other major armies developed entirely different cultures that influenced the war's outcome. So yeah, Savage War reveals how the Civil War ushered in the age of modern warfare, which, we've heard that that hypothesis and that argument made many times before, but I've heard really good things about this. It's got a tremendous amount of maps, covers origins, the first battles, the war's strategic framework. I know I can speak. Talking about the Confederacy recovering, the war in the East, the war in the West, the killing time, which was 1864, victory in the West, which was Sherman, the collapse of the Confederacy. So just a must-have book for my Civil War readings and my collection. It's just another great book put out by Princeton for sure. Okay, so a couple of these books I picked up. They were really cheap on Amazon, and I decided to get them because this was, one of these I've been wanting for a while. I'm interested in kind of like foreign affairs, how the military plays into that, and just, how America is in its standing with other countries. And this is the revised and expanded version of Asian Waters, The Struggle Over the Indo-Pacific and the Challenge to American Power by Humphrey Huxley. I had been looking at the previous edition of this book. Oh, and this is put out by Abrams Press. I've been looking at the previous edition of this book in hardcover, but then it came out in a revised and updated or expanded edition, so I decided to pick up the paperback. So I just got that off Amazon. But this says the fractious relationship between China and the U.S. will be a central issue for the coming decades, and no region is as hotly contested as the Indo-Pacific. At its heart is an intensifying rivalry between the autocratic and democratic systems of government marked by the disputed South China Sea, where China has built military bases in open violation of international law. At stake is the survival of the current rules-based world order. In Asian Waters, award-winning BBC journalist and Asia specialist Humphrey Huxley breaks down the tensions that he has followed throughout this vast and volatile region for years. That was a weird construction. He joins dots that include America's rise as the predominant Pacific power to Sino-U.S. trade wars, threats against Taiwan, the war on the Korean Peninsula, Japan's role in protecting democracy in Asia, and much more. So it's a must-read for anyone interested in global politics, which I am. Yeah, and I'm also, interested in just the U.S. Navy. I'm a member of the U.S. Naval Institute. I get their Proceedings magazine. I'm just really interested in how America is trying to maintain some type of supremacy at sea, which, the South China Sea I've been keeping my eye on in the last few years as, they've been building up like islands in the ocean. China's just like, no, we're just gonna build an island here. It's pretty amazing, but you got to keep an eye on that. So I got this book in light of my recent reading of Phoenix Rising by Colonel Keith Nightingale, and was getting interested more and more about the secret special operations units, and also Spy Master of Baghdad, which focused on special ops units in Iraq, Iraqi nationals, but just the whole nature of it, just fascinated by how people can go into like black ops, it's just a fascinating topic for me. And one of the people mentioned in one of the recent books I read was Charlie Beckwith, and I guess he is very well known because he was the first commanding officer of Delta Force. But he was one of the guys interviewed in Vietnam. I remember a clip of this where someone interviewed him about his estimation of the North Vietnamese forces that they were fighting against in Vietnam. And he's like, if I had a battalion, or I forget what size he said, but if I had a battalion of them, we'd win this war in like a month. He was really, he recognized just just how well trained and disciplined the North Vietnamese were, and that they were a hell of a fighter, you know. And so anyway, I don't know. It's just Charlie Beckwith. He's a straight shooter type of guy. Anyway, I picked this up for like $5 on Amazon, and this is Delta Force. It's by Charlie Beckwith and Donald Knox. This is a memoir by the founder of the U.S. military's most secretive Special Operations Unit. This is by William Morrow. So yeah, I just picked this up off of Amazon. And there's Charlie Beckwith right there. You don't want to mess with Charlie Beckwith. You know what I'm saying? This is the definitive insider's account of the U.S. Army's most elite and secretive Special Ops Unit, written by the legendary founder and first commanding officer of Delta Force. The description here says, wanted, volunteers for Project Delta. Will guarantee you a medal, a body bag, or both. With this call to arms, Charlie Beckwith revolutionized American armed combat. Beckwith's acclaimed memoir tells the story of Delta Force, as only its maverick creator could tell it, from the bloody baptism of Vietnam to the top-secret training grounds of North Carolina to political battles in the upper levels of the Pentagon itself. This is the heart-pounding first-person insider's view of the missions that made Delta Force legendary. So that just sounds like a hell of a fun read and a hell of a ride. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to read this. You know, I enjoy military memoirs as well. And, you know, it goes everywhere from Vietnam to Iran. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. It does tie into Colonel Nightingale's book, Phoenix Rising, about the failed attempt to free the Iran hostages in 1979. And as you can see on this map, he was part of it as far as, you know, I'm trying to remember his exact role, because the book was by, you know, Colonel Keith Nightingale, but he's got the map showing the intended route and what happened, because that was just that thing just did not go well. But anyway, Delta Force, again, sounds like a fun read. So now for something completely different. This was one of those weird things that happen on Amazon when you're just browsing, and it's like a relatively new, let me see, when did this book come out? It came out in 2020. Hardcover book, academic work, and the thing was like $3.50. Brand new, not even third-party seller, just marked down insanely. And I think it made the rounds on Instagram. A few people were like, oh my God, I got it for this much on Amazon. This is from Yale University Press, brand new hardcover. This is Jonathan Bates, The Radical Wordsworth, the poet who changed the world. I swear I got it for so cheap. I don't know why it was marked down, but I scooped it up. Yeah, so it's a dazzling portrait of a revolutionary poet. William Wordsworth is not always remembered as a radical. He lacked the glamour of Coleridge, De Quincey, and Byron. He was neither opium addict nor mad, bad, and dangerous to know, in quotes. He lacked, too, the pathos of Keats, Shelley, and John Clare, failing to die young or go mad. Well, how dare you? He lived long and grew conservative, his poetic powers dramatically waning in the second half of his life. But in the first half, Wordsworth was a great poetic genius, a revolutionary who changed the world. Wordsworth rejoiced in the French Revolution and played a central role in the cultural upheaval that we call the Romantic Revolution. He and his fellow Romantics changed forever the way we think about childhood, the self, our connection to the natural environment, and the purpose of poetry. His was also a revolutionary life in the old sense of the word. His art was of memory, the circling back to childhood and youth. So, in this exquisitely written biography, Jonathan Bate is purposely fragmentary, momentary, and selective as he brilliantly reveals the hiding places of Wordsworth's power. With great sympathy and sophistication, he shows how Wordsworth's genius was, in William Hazlitt's words, a pure emancipation. Oh, God, all these words. A pure emanation of the spirit of the age. Okay, so thank you. I got that. All right, so it's a big hefty book on the poet Wordsworth. Now, I'm not normally a reader about poetry. I don't read poetry. I am familiar with Wordsworth, Longfellow. Oh, a handful of poets. Dickinson, Keats, Byron, that kind of stuff. But for $3.50, I mean, it's biography, and biographies are great. I could read a biography about anyone, even if I'm not into whatever they did or whatever. So that's some new books that I've picked up. I've picked up a few more, but let's just leave it here at the 25-minute mark. Let me know what you think of these books, if anything piques your interest. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And thanks again, everyone, for visiting. And until next time, ciao.